Good afternoon. Welcome to Career Launchers YT channel for MBA aspirants. Today we're going to look at one more RC in preparing for CAT 2025 Road to IIM series. We're looking at another very interesting passage, one of my favorites. Then you'll tell me whenever there's a difficult passage, you say that. But this is truly one of those classic CAT passages which every student aspiring to get into an IIM has to uh, see. All right. Now, I want you to give me a heads up if you can see me and hear me clearly. I want to see if my chat has been set up right or not, and then we can start the session. All right. Okay, let's start. Um, all right. Okay, so where have I taken this passage from? CAT 2020, slot 2. What is it about? It is about something called visual culture. All right. As always, I'll show you the passage for each slide. I'll show you for a minute. No, actually, there's a lot. So I'll show it to you for a minute and a half. All right. Read it, process whatever you can, then I'll summarize it for you. Then we will look at the questions. Is that okay with you? All right. Okay, I hope you've read the slide. Let's move to the next slide. I'll show you this slide for a minute. This slide has less content in it, less text. So after we finish it, I will summarize it for you. All right. So now let us look at the passage. Let me shut your timer. Now remember, we're going to read the passage as a student coming across this passage for the first time. So what would happen if you do not know certain words? There are quite a few words here whose meaning you would not know. But I will let you understand the meaning of the words in the context in which it has been mentioned. If there is a word that you don't understand, there is no question on it, there is no need to understand the meaning of the word. You shouldn't be worrying about processing that word itself, right? So let's quickly read what the passage is all about. What is its main point? What are the supporting points the author has used to support his assertions? The claims advanced here may be condensed into two assertions. Already he is in the middle of a paragraph that we've taken in the middle of a discussion. Some claims the author has made, so the author is now summing it up into two assertions, two statements mainly. One, that visual culture is what images, acts of seeing, attendant intellectual, emotional, and personal sensibilities do to build, maintain, or transform the world in which people live. What is visual culture? Visual culture is what images, seeing, and other sensibilities do to transform or maintain the world in which people live. The second, the study of visual culture is the analysis and interpretation of images. And so, what is visual culture? It is what images, seeing, etc., do to build, maintain, and transform our lives. And the study of what is the study of visual culture? The analysis and interpretation of images and the way of seeing. All right, that configure with agents, practices, and institutions that put the image of verse. So, analysis, interpretation of images, and ways of seeing. How do we do this analysis? On the basis of the agents, practices, conceptualities, and institutions that put the images to work. Accordingly, now we still don't understand what exactly the study of visual culture entails. Therefore, there's more on that. The study of visual culture should be characterized by several concerns. So it's the act of analysis and interpretation of images. Correct? Therefore, there are several points you should keep in mind when you're doing that analysis. Scholars of visual culture need to examine any and all imagery. One, they should examine every kind of imagery. They must not restrict themselves to the objects of a particular beauty or aesthetic value. They must analyze any kind of imagery because every kind of imagery offers evidence of the visual construction of reality. First point, they must examine all imagery. Second, the study of visual culture must scrutinize visual practice, the practice of seeing as much as the image themselves, asking what images do when they are put to use. If scholars engaged in this enterprise inquires what makes an image beautiful, why this image or that constitutes a masterpiece or a work of genius, they should do so with the purpose of investigating an artist's work or a work's contribution to the expression of experience of beauty, taste, value, or genius. They must study all imagery. Second, they must study visual practice as much as the images themselves. And what does he mean by visual practice? Studying any work of art, finding out why it is a masterpiece, investigate an artist's work, investigate what contribution has a work of art done to the meaning of beauty, taste, value, culture. So you must not just look at images, you must also look at the process of calling any work a work of art, beautiful, whatever. They were unique. Then he says, no amount of social. So you basically analyze works of art, any images. All right. Then he says, no amount of social analysis can account fully for the existence of Michelangelo or Leonardo. So we are doing an analysis to find out why an image is a masterpiece, what is the work of a genius, what is the contribution of a work of art to beauty, taste, value, everything. And obviously, in that, you will come across great artists. And no amount of analysis can account fully for the existence of Michelangelo or Leonardo da Vinci. They were unique creators of images. Why? Why is it? Because they were unique creators of images. They changed, they were so transformative. They changed the way their contemporaries thought and felt and have continued to shape the history of art, artists, museums, feelings, and aesthetic value. Their impact has been enduring. But study of the critical, artistic, and popular reception of work such by such artists can shed important light on the meaning of these artists and their work for different people. Now, you cannot fully analyze and understand the work or the artists that they are, Michelangelo, Leonardo, because they had profound impact on art. They transformed how art was seen. They continue to shape art, artist museums, and all. So they cannot be. They were beyond any social analysis. But their effect on people who are receiving their art, if you study that, that itself can shed important light on the meaning of these artists and their works on different people. The history of meaning making has a great deal to do with how scholars as well as lay audiences understand these artists and their achievements. So you not just analyze an artist and his achievements, you also look at how scholars viewed them. You also have to look at how people viewed them and their impact on ordinary people. Everything will help in this visual culture. Next paragraph, those are 2 points, right? And the third point, he says, scholars studying visual culture might properly focus their interpretative work on life works by examining images, practices, visual technologies, taste, and artistic style as constitutive of social relations. So he is connecting art with social relations. Images, practices, everything are part of social relations. And therefore, when you interpret a work of art, scholars must look at it in terms of or with regard to social relations. The task is to understand how artifacts contribute to the construction of a word. Important methodological implications follow. Ethnography, reception studies become productive forms of gathering information since these move beyond image as a closed and fixed meaning event. How have works of art and artifacts contributed to the way the world is now? Therefore, you're not just looking at a, a fixed methodology. You also look at ethnography and reception studies. You have to see how art impacted various ethnicities, various people. So when you gather information, it goes, the scope really goes broad and wide. Fourth, scholars may learn a great deal when they scrutinize the constituents of vision. You're looking at interpretation in terms of the construction of a world. You're looking at ethnography and reception studies. Also, look at what are the constitutions of vision. How do you see the structure of perception as a physiological process, as well as the epistemological frameworks informing a system of visual representation? So, you are looking at vision itself. The author's definition of vision is very different. It's a socially and biologically constructed operation. Vision is not just biological, not just what you're seeing. It's a socially and biologically constructed operation depending on the design of the human body, true, and how it engages the interpretive devices developed by a culture in order to see intelligibly. So you're just seeing, but how you see, that process of how you see something, your perception of something changes according to the interpretive devices developed by a culture. So you are seeing intelligibly with your mind, not just with your eyes, and that seeing with your mind or intelligible seeing depends on the culture. It seeing operates on the foundation of covenants with images that establish the conditions of meaningful visual experience. So there's just a physical, biological, visual experience, but beyond that, your seeing actually operates on the kind of agreement or the preconceived connection you have with images. So visual experience is dictated by the culture in which you are, on how you see things. So it operates on the foundation of covenants with images. You see an image and then there is a instinctive agreement or connection that you have, so that changes into meaningful visual experience. Finally, the scholar of visual culture seeks to regard images as evidence for explanation, not as epiphenomenon. So, if you're a scholar of visual culture, you will look at images as evidence for explanation. Why do you see an image in a particular way? You do not see a vision as an epiphenomena. Now, if you know the meaning of epi, you will know the meaning of epiphenomena, which is the first question asked by the passage. by the author. What is the which of the following best describes epiphenomena in the last sentence? If you are a scholar of visual culture, you will regard images as evidence for explanation. You will not see images just as an epiphenomenon. So, what do you think is epiphenomena? Phenomena amenable to analysis, one that can be amenable to analysis means one that can be analyzed. I want your answers as I'm explaining the options. Phenomena supplemental to evidence, overarching collections of images, or visual phenomena of epic proportions. Does epi Do you think epi is a short form of epic? No, epic means huge, right? Can't be that. Does it mean overarching, over and above something, collection? No. You are thinking of images as evidence for explanation. That means not just as epiphenomena. That means epiphenomena means phenomena supplemental to the evidence. You are looking at it as evidence, not as epiphenomena, that is phenomena that is supplemental to evidence. Got it? Okay, how many of you got the answer right? Let me see. Okay. All right, so the correct answer is B. Let's look at the next question. All of the following statements may be considered valid inferences from the passage except. All right, now if you do not remember an answer, quickly look through the passage and say, has this been mentioned? Can I infer this? Yes. If you are in doubt, we'll go back to the passage. Let's do this together. Artifacts are meaningful precisely because they help to construct the meaning of worlds for us. He talks of artifacts as interpretation of the world we live in. Where has that been given? He has given it here somewhere. Wait, let me remove this. The task is to understand how artifacts contribute to the construction of a world. That means artifacts do contribute to the construction of the world. So they help. This can be, is a valid inference. So this is not the correct answer. Studying visual culture requires institutional structure without which structures of perception cannot be analyzed. We will think of this. We are not happy with this. Let us look at it. Understanding the structures of perception is an important part of how visual cultures work. Understanding the structures of perception. What are the structures of perception? Your vision, right? Therefore, what is the author saying? Ah, when you look at the structures of perception, not just as a physiological process, but as an epistemological framework, then you can understand visual representation. So, a scholar of visual culture must understand the structures of perception. So, understanding, because vision is a socially and biologically constructed operation, it's not just biological. So, understanding the structure of perception is an important part of understanding how visual culture works. This can be inferred, so not my answer. This can be inferred, so not my answer. D. Visual culture is not just about how we see, but also about how our visual practices can impact and change, which is what the main point of the passage seems to be. So, this can be inferred. Now, the author has not said anywhere that you need institutional structures to understand visual culture. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. All right. How many of you got that right? All right. Good. Let's look at question 3. My chat keeps disappearing. All right. Question 3. We've done this. I've explained this, but we'll again look at it. No amount of social analysis When they give you a quote from the passage, read the lines 2, 3 times and see what it means. That will help you interpret it. No amount of social analysis can account fully for the existence of Michelangelo and Leonardo. You cannot socially analyze Michelangelo and Leonardo completely because these were unique creators. They were so different, unique, transformative, enduring in their impact that you cannot really comprehensively socially analyze them. Which option really gives you that answer? That's the answer. Social analytical accounts of people like Michelangelo or Leonardo cannot explain their genius. So you cannot do a social analysis of Michelangelo and Leonardo completely, right? So social analysis cannot really explain. You can analyze. You are analyzing artists, artifacts, but no amount of social analysis can really explain Michelangelo and Leonardo. Why? Because they were so unique, so different, and that in a way means their genius. So one looks correct. We are. Let's look at B, C, and D. Michelangelo and Leonardo cannot be subjected to social analysis. Why? I can subject anybody to social analysis, genius or otherwise. But whether I do a good job or not is a different matter. Whether I do a comprehensive analysis or not is another matter. So anybody can be subjected to social analysis. Why can't you analyze them? No amount of social analysis can account, explain Michelangelo or Leonardo is not the same as saying that you can't analyze Michelangelo or Leonardo. So this is just playing with words and misrepresenting the meaning. Therefore, this is not the correct answer. No analysis exists of their social accounts. No, socially existing beings cannot be analyzed. Everybody can be analyzed. Okay, this actually contradicts. Michelangelo and Leonardo their art can be, but they cannot be. What does that mean? Therefore, the correct answer is option A. All other options just misrepresent by playing around with the meanings of social analysis and Michelangelo and Leonardo. Correct answer is A. All right, next question. That is question 4. Seeing dash dash operates on the foundation of covenants with images that establish the condition for meaningful visual experience. Which one conveys the meaning of the sentence? Let's read the full sentence here. No, it's not given. The full sentence also this. Seeing the way you see, right? From here, let's read. One, from here, if you read, you'll get the meaning. Vision is a socially and biologically constructed operation. It depends on the design of the human body and how it engages the interpretive devices developed by a culture in order to see intelligibly. So vision is not just a biologically constructed operation, it's a socially and biologically constructed operation. It depends on the design of the human body, also on how this eye or vision engages the interpretive devices that are developed by a culture. What devices have you developed according to your culture? What you see and how you interpret what you see is equally. So, seeing operates on the foundations of covenants with images. So, every culture will dictate what covenant, what agreement, or connection you develop with an image. Depends on your culture how you see something, right? So seeing operates on the foundation, on the basis of these covenants that you form with an image, and that establishes the conditions for meaningful visual experience. Visual experience is seeing plus this covenants with images that you form according to the culture, the interpretive devices that your culture develops in you. Understood? So which option explains this best? Sight becomes a meaningful visual experience, right? Conditions for meaningful experience based on the covenants of meaningfulness that we establish with the images we see. Perfect. It's a sight or just seeing becomes a visual experience when on the basis of the covenants or that you establish with the images that conveys the meaning. All right, so exactly The way we experience sight is through images operated by meaningful covenants. No, the sight you experience, the meaningfulness of an image comes with the interpretation of that image that you give. Images are meaningful visual experience when they have a foundation of covenants, seeing them meaningless sentence. Sight as a meaningful visual experience is possible when there is a foundational condition established. He doesn't say otherwise sight is not possible. Sight becomes a meaningful visual experience when that what you see is interpreted. The image is interpreted. And how does that interpretation happen? Based on the covenants with the images you form. What is that covenant form? Because of the culture. You understand? Therefore, the correct answer is option A. All other options just play with the words. All right. Which set of keywords most closely captures the arguments of the passage? Here, this was a trend started in this particular year. We need to just quickly look at the passages. Okay. All right. What is the first paragraph about? All right, what is visual culture? We just look at it. What is visual culture? Second, what is the study of visual culture? Correct. Second paragraph, what are the different concerns of visual culture? Right? The different concerns of visual culture. One is you have to you have to study all imagery. Correct. They must start, and then they must, this is one. Second, they must scrutinize visual practices as much as images themselves. Correct. Third, that you must focus your interpretive work on life works by examining images as, so basically you must look at images as connected to social relations. Or let's look at it that you must study visual culture. You must interpret any work of art in terms of how they contribute to the construction of a world. Third, you have to also study the constituents of vision, right? The structures of perception. All right. And images are evidence of explanation. They are not epiphenomena. They're not supplemental phenomena. Correct? So, which option gives it in the right order is what we are bothered about. Visual culture, all right. Aesthetic value, lay audience, visual experience. Yes. Not scholars, social analysis, Michelangelo, interpretive devices. Scholars of what? Scholars of visual culture. Social analysis, Michelangelo, Leonardo is one. Interpretive devices, the part, but this is also partial. Imagery, okay, all imagery. You must look at visual practices. You must look at structures of perception. This also works. This is again visual construction of reality, work of genius, ethnography. No, epiphania, no. So we come back to here. Imagery, visual life worlds, and works of people and structures of perception. C is the best. Imagery, study all imagery, study visual practices, which is given in the second paragraph, study the life worlds and study structures of perception. So C is the correct answer. All right. Therefore, this, so whenever you're given set of keywords, look at each option. First one told us, the second paragraph said this. Most of the words that you have highlighted as your main keyword would be included as we did with this. Study all imagery, study visual practices, study life worlds, study structures of perception. I was not sure if this is the exact word, but we have three here. On the other hand, what scholars, what social analysis? Michelangelo and Leonardo given as an example of geniuses whose work was transmitted. Interpretive devices, yes, one part is there. So not everything is there. So one which gives keywords is option C. All right. Any doubts? Any questions? No? All right. So we've done with one more passage from a good passage. Maybe next time we'll take an easier passage. I will see you again next week at 1 p.m., 8 p.m., whatever time. Until then, thank you. Like, share, and subscribe this video. If you liked it, I will see you very soon.